Welcome to Impact Signals, social impact at the scale of AI. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Sarah.
It's Wednesday, March 4th, 2026, and this is episode 20. Today, the engineer who built the world's most downloaded open-source AI model just walked out the door, and what that means if your field deployment runs on it. Plus, a Kenyan city that just permanently changed how it responds to disasters, and a first in Southeast Asia. We're starting with a story from the open-source AI ecosystem that has direct operational implications for field teams. Junyoung Lin, the lead architect who built Alibaba's Qwen model family into the world's most downloaded open-source AI, resigned this week.
To put the scale of this in context, Qwen has surpassed 1 billion downloads. It is, by that measure, the most widely adopted open-weight model family in existence. And Lin wasn't alone. 2 other senior technical leads departed in the same week.
Alibaba's stock dropped 4% on the news. But for practitioners, the more important signal isn't financial, it's architectural. Qwen has become load-bearing infrastructure for a significant portion of the field AI ecosystem. Lightweight Qwen variants run on edge devices, in low connectivity environments, in local language configurations across Southeast Asia and the Middle East.
Key person risk is a real operational concept in humanitarian programming. We apply it to country directors and logistics managers. We need to apply it to the AI models our tools are built on. When a model's core architecture lead leaves, it raises concrete questions. Who maintains the security patches? Who handles the model cards? What happens to the fine-tuning partnerships?
None of this means Qwen stops working tomorrow. Alibaba is a large organization with deep AI resources. But if your field system depends on a specific Qwen version for a critical function, early warning, translation, triage support, now is the right time to document your dependency and confirm your contingency.
The broader lesson: when evaluating open-source model adoption, model governance matters as much as benchmark scores. Who owns the roadmap? What's the contributor structure? And what's the succession plan? These are vendor qualification questions now.
Now to Rwanda and what may become the template for country-level AI partnerships on the continent. This week, Anthropic signed a 3-year Memorandum of Understanding with the government of Rwanda, the company's first multi-sector government deal in Africa.
The scope is significant. Rwanda's Ministry of Health will use Claude to pursue 3 national targets: eliminating cervical cancer, reducing malaria incidence, and cutting maternal mortality rates. On education, 2,000 Claude Pro licenses are already deployed to Rwandan educators, and an AI-powered learning companion has rolled out across 8 African countries.
For Rwanda's public sector developers, inside government institutions, this means direct access to Claude, Claude Code, API credits, and structured training programs. Rwanda's Minister of ICT, Paula Ingabire, framed it clearly. The goal is to design and deploy AI at the national level, not just pilot it.
What makes this model worth studying is the ownership structure. This isn't a vendor-to-ministry procurement. It's a co-design agreement with explicit capacity-building obligations on Anthropic's side. Rwandan developers inside government are the intended beneficiaries, not just end users of a tool built elsewhere.
For practitioners working in other countries considering similar partnerships, the questions to pressure test are who trains the trainers, who controls the data, and what happens at the end of the 3 years. Rwanda's MOU will answer those questions publicly. That makes it a living benchmark. From Kenya, the city of Kisumu, Kenya, Kenya's 3rd largest city on the shore of Lake Victoria, officially launched a UNDP-funded Emergency Operations Center last week. This is not a pilot. It is live infrastructure.
The EOC runs on what Kisumu is calling a smart city technology stack: real-time environmental monitoring, AI-powered situational awareness, integrated multi-agency communications, and early warning sensors covering the city and the surrounding lake region counties.
Kisumu's history here matters. The city has dealt with repeated flooding from Lake Victoria, and its disaster coordination capacity has historically been fragmented. Police, fire, public health, county emergency teams all operating on incompatible systems. This center puts them in a single operational picture.
The UNDP handover model is what practitioners in other regions should be studying closely. UNDP provided both the funding and the technical architecture, but the city government owns and operates it from day one. There's no ongoing vendor dependency for core operations. That's a replicable model for mid-size African cities that have the institutional capacity to run it, but not the capital to build it.
And it's worth naming what phase of the disaster management cycle this represents. Most AI for disaster coverage focuses on response and relief, the dramatic moment. This is a recovery phase investment. And recovery phase investments are what turn a recovering city into a resilient one. Also this week, a landmark in Southeast Asia. Timor-Leste completed the groundwork for its National Early Warning System, a multi-agency built under the UN Secretary-General's Early Warnings for All initiative, EW4All.
What's significant here is the architecture of how it was built. The project brought together the Civil Protection Authority, the National Disaster Management General Directorate, multiple UN agencies, the Red Cross, and sector ministries to create what Prevention Web describes as end-to-end early warning coverage. Hazard monitoring, community alert systems, and disaster risk databases fully integrated across all participating institutions.
The formal national launch is scheduled for later in 2026, and for practitioners in the Pacific Islands region, Vanuatu, Fiji, Tonga, this is now the documented playbook. Timor-Leste is showing what a coordinated, multi-agency EW4All implementation looks like in a small, resource-constrained island nation.
That replication potential is exactly what EW4All was designed to create. A working national system is worth more than a framework document. Other countries now have a concrete reference architecture to adapt.
One more technology story before the calendar. A developer who survived a 300-year flood built FloodReady, an open-source AI tool designed to run entirely on-device with no cloud connectivity required.
On-device inference means it runs on a standard mobile phone without API calls, cell signal, or Wi-Fi. That is not a minor edge case. Connectivity failure during disasters is predictable. It's often the first thing to go. If you are building any emergency response tool that requires cloud connectivity to function, you are building a tool that fails exactly when it's needed most.
The open source release makes this available for emergency management agencies to test and adapt. It won't replace integrated early warning infrastructure, but for the last mile responder with only their phone, this matters. And the developer's decision to open source it rather than commercialize it means it can be adapted for local languages, specific hazard types, and resource-constrained deployments. Before we close, your calendar for the next 30 days. Today and tomorrow, March 4th and 5th, the Disasters Expo USA is live at the Miami Beach Convention Center, the flagship gathering for emergency management technology in the Americas. If you're in procurement, operations, or technology evaluation, this is the room.
March 7th and 8th, Hackomania in Singapore, Southeast Asia's flagship AI for Good hackathon, focused on agentic AI and LLMs applied to societal challenges. If you have a field problem that needs a build sprint, this is the format.
March 10th through 12th, the Humanitarian Networks and Partnerships Weeks in Geneva, hosted by UN OCHA, the premier annual gathering for humanitarian interoperability. AI in frontline practice is one of the explicit session tracks this year.
Also March 11th and 12th, Action on Disaster Relief in Panama City, Latin America and Caribbean focus. Direct procurement access to UN regional agency leads. If you're a vendor or engineer looking to deploy in this region, the decision makers are in this room.
And March 26th, the AI plus Disaster Risk Reduction Conference running virtually, organized by Tech Hive Association, featuring operational case studies on AI early warning systems. Speakers include Ricardo Mena, former director of UNDDR, and Walter Kate, former Undersecretary General of the IFRC. Registration link is in the show notes. That's Impact Signals for Wednesday, March 4th. If this briefing is useful, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and share it with someone working in the field. We're at impactsignals.ai.
Stay ready.